Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 592 of Geeks in Space. We're doing the news orbit today with Rob Roseboom.
That's me.
Chris DeBona.
Hello.
Gentlemen, the most important news in the last 24 hours, assuming you were willing to commit 4 hours of it.
I want to hear your review.
To the Snyder Cut. How far did you guys get?
Did you finish it?
I did.
I finished it.
I didn't start. That's crazy sauce.
4 hours is a lot.
That's a lot of time.
I started yesterday at like 3 or 4 a.m. when I woke up. Couldn't get back to sleep. So I watched a little bit, and then I watched a little bit more on my lunch break. And then I finished up the last couple hours yesterday evening.
It's nice.
I gotta find time for Troll Hunter. There's no Snyder kind of Troll Hunter, I gotta tell you.
No 4 hour cut.
There's not.
The nice thing about the Snyder Cut is that it is like divided into like 7 acts.
Chapters. Yeah.
So, and like they're all 45 minutes long, so you can watch one and then go, eat, and then watch one and then, go do.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Is there a chapter about the Flash? Because I'll watch that. I'll watch Flash anything.
Yeah,
kind of.
Is it worth it, or do they like smoosh them in with like Miles Dyson?
I thought they
Cyborg.
did. I thought they did a decent job of explaining more of the characters that didn't have their own standalone movies.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave the Flash like a nice intro scene that was not in the movie. Where like, I guess he's meeting Iris and like interviewing for a job. And like, it's a really nice setup scene, but it's like 10 minutes of material, which is, it's clear what, basically the Justice League movie as originally released had 3 characters that needed introduction, and it did not really do any of them.
And that was Cyborg, Flash, and the Mother Box? No.
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Oh, that's right.
Aquaman's movie came later. So this movie gives the Flash especially a lot of backstory, and Cyborg. Cyborg actually has a story in this.
Yeah, and
do you end up caring about him?
Yeah.
The Flash is actually integral to the story, to what happens.
Cyborg?
No, to the movie
finale
in general.
In the Snyder Cut, the last sequence, basically the Flash is just like doing support. I read a good comment, which was basically the Flash was doing whatever Hawkeye would have done in an Avengers movie. And in the Snyder Cut, he and Cyborg are actually like, their teamwork is key to triggering the final event.
So does Flash use the Speed Force to send Cyborg back in time to rescue his father and his body?
No, not Cyborg. I will say, though, that I think if they would have kept this one and released it in 2 parts, there might have been more Justice League movies.
Yep. Huh. I feel exactly the same way. It's the best of it. I think this, with a strong edit, would have been the best DC movie of the modern era. This
better than Shazam.
So I like Shazam for fun, but I like Aquaman and Shazam for fun. I think Wonder Woman is actually like the first 2 acts of the first Wonder Woman is right now the best of the modern DC movies.
I'd say that's probably.
And I thought her introduction in the Snyder Cut was a lot better than in the other one as well.
Well,
I thought it did a much better job of highlighting how much of a badass Wonder Woman really is.
Yeah.
Did they have like a moment where one of the characters sidelong talked about that time when everyone was about to die and Wonder Woman saved them in the 80s? Oh, I don't know about that anymore.
No, but they did make reference to her just generally being awesome in the ancient history at one point.
The ancient history of the 80s.
No, the ancient history, I guess, of World War I, presumably.
So they're just pretending like 1984 didn't exist,
right? Because this was before that, or produced before that. The problem with it is it's 4 hours long, which makes it not really a movie anymore. It makes it a miniseries.
It makes it torture.
No. If they were to release this,
I'm sorry, I'm being very negative.
Yeah.
About
No, if
this,
they were to release this, have released this as Justice League Part 1 and Part 2, we probably would have seen a Part 3 and Part 4.
Justice League.
Yeah. It's worth watching. It's entertaining. I mean, you sum it up. I liked it summed up the first moment of Justice League. Rob, did we watch Justice League in the theaters together? I feel like we might have, but maybe not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I was trying to, but the first shot in the Whedon Justice League is the camera footage of Henry Cavill's face wiggling. And in the first 10 seconds of that movie, you're broken. Like, you can't take that thing seriously. This starts with Superman, like, screaming and a sonic boom ripping through the planet as Superman dies, his death scream.
Yeah.
It's tonally a completely different thing. And it's fun. I mean, for what it is, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll allow it.
I wouldn't say, I don't know that it's a great movie now, but
Right.
Certainly, I think you can't argue that it's not better than the original.
I put it in the middle half of the Marvel movies at this point. It's not the best of the Marvel movies, but it's the middle of the Marvel movies.
Let me pitch you on a thing. Okay, so one of Bruce Wayne's dark multiverse identities is Dawnbreaker. They should have called this Justice League Dawn of Breaker or Breaker of Dawn. And then they could have like multiverse this stuff
with Twilight
and had a and then they could have had
funny you mention that because they do multiverse it.
Yep.
At the very end, they give you a preview of the Injustice storyline.
Yep.
New Batman is who? Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson was also a vampire. Who is he a vampire with? Kristen Stewart. I think Kristen Stewart is going to be multiverse Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Cliff is in the chat.
Is Cliff exploding?
No, well, he's saying this is the nail in Whedon's cancel culture coffin. And yeah, I mean, this basically really like is. Just kind of lays bare and naked like that it was really bad and it was Whedon's fault.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see what shots were the same, what parts were the same, and what parts were completely different. Like the cheesy little story about the Russian family who are trapped by the parademons near the nuclear reactor.
Gone.
That just isn't in that movie at all.
Yep. I don't remember that from the first one.
Because it was utterly unmemorable. Although what surprised me is the Flash has a lot of just like quippy one-liner dialogue bits that I just assumed were all Whedon because they were funny. And they were not. They must have been in the original version because there they is being all Barry Allen-y. And I liked it.
Did he do any of the "I'm sorry I'm late" jokes that Flash is loved for?
He did.
Yes.
But there was one of those in the Snyder cut or in the Whedon cut too.
Well, it's because Whedon had some nerds on staff.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, let's look at.
I'd like to explore further the Twilight crossover. You might remember in Twilight, Mr. Malda was your favorite actress.
Kristen Stewart or Anna Kendrick?
No, Anna Kendrick, who was in Twilight. Right. So maybe Anna Kendrick can come through as like Sue Storm or something into the DCEU through the multiverse because of a mid-'80s near bankruptcy Marvel DC tie-up.
I don't want Anna Kendrick to play. I don't want Anna Kendrick to play Sue Storm. Sue Storm is tough. And
you want her in like a Stargirl kind of role, or what do you want?
I mean, if she was still like Pitch Perfect era, like the first one, she could have been Squirrel Girl.
That's actually a fantastic idea.
She could be Silver Banshee because she has that whole singing thing, right?
Ooh, sure.
Oh, nicely done. Nicely done. Well, there's a lot of singing characters in the DC universe. It was Black Canary, I think, had the or whatever. Yeah. So she could be Black Canary or White Canary, although You know, those have been kind of done to death on the television shows.
She could also do She-Hulk, but they gave that to Tatiana Maslany.
Which, honestly, is probably the only thing that can save that story.
Oh, I think that's going to be fine.
Her brilliance. I'm sorry. I'd watch Tatiana Maslany open a mall. I'd watch her open, our town, on
how big is
Broadway.
the mall that she's opening?
It could be a strip mall. It doesn't have to be a good mall. Because she's amazing. She would probably do it with like 4 characters. Yeah, she could like open up like put on the hard hat and take that first thing of dirt. So
I agree with you. She is awesome, but Anna Kendrick is also.
Wait, I have a hard hat from.
Okay, he's gone now. You want to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I mean, I guess.
So there was a UK poll that says that he's the most suited celebrity to be a leader during an alien invasion.
Yeah.
I kind of buy that.
So this was one of the ones from an opening of a Google building where we did the whole shovel thing. So we had the little propeller. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. I just had to share that with you.
A construction noogler?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like 14 years into my tenure at the company, but
I mean,
I was like, I'm keeping this hat. So
I guess I can see it because he seemed to be able to handle the Predator okay.
Yeah.
But sure. I don't know why Will Smith wouldn't be in the running since he handled multiple aliens and an actual invasion, right?
I think I missed something when I put on my hat.
You did.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say that I missed it because I'm here for the Will Smith jokes.
Weren't you the one that was dissing Independence Day just last night, 2 nights ago?
No. I was saying that I wouldn't pick them for our weekly movie. It's a fine movie. So
no, I think that as far as TV celebrity stars go,
popular.
He's the one guy though that like has been like, so there's other celebrities who've crossed over into politics, but Schwarzenegger kind of was like largely respected when he got done. Like people
Clint Eastwood a little bit too.
Yeah.
But Eastwood is so old that the aliens would just
Eastwood really wasted his chance when he did that whole empty chair thing. Yeah. But Schwarzenegger, it's important to understand the rise of Schwarzenegger. So the governor before him was recalled after he passed like this massive gas tax or car tax thing or traffic tax, and everyone hated him. Right. And so Schwarzenegger, a couple of years before the tax imbroglio, he was pushing for this after school and pre-K bill. And he basically self-funded it, got it passed, and suddenly all the kids were being taken care of. And all the parents were like, man, the Terminator really took care of us. And so when the recall happened, Schwarzenegger's like, well, I will run for the governorship. Remember what I did for the kids?
That's and your Schwarzenegger.
Yes. That's my Schwarzenegger.
That's pretty impressive.
So it's not very good. And so the entire state's like, yeah, I see it. Let's do it.
Yep.
So and it was him versus like some like, well, and then we will reform the tax. And he's like, I will crush the tax. I will crush everything. And it's just like, it was great. It was a great time in California.
If the past 4 years have taught us anything, it's that no matter how much we want to believe that, good ideas win in the end, what's most important is personality.
Yeah.
And he had so much of it, right? And like,
I'm not saying he doesn't have good ideas either. I'm just saying by far the most important thing is personality.
And honestly, it was actually a lot like who was the other one in Minnesota?
Jesse the Body or Jesse the Mind Ventura?
Well, he was Jesse the Mind for Minnesota
at the time.
I'd say that Schwarzenegger did a better job per capita than Jesse the Mind, but Jesse didn't do a terrible job in Minnesota.
I guess,
and even Clint Eastwood in Monterey. No, it was Carmel, right, where he was mayor.
All you need is a couple of catchphrases and an opponent who 40% of your audience hates.
Yeah. And everyone. Yeah, come on. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who doesn't love the pecs and the arms and the what a nice guy. And he took care of all those kids. The kids. Let
me put out one more name.
Kids. Do it.
What about Jeff Goldblum to handle the alien invasion?
Ooh.
I know it's kind of the same as Will Smith, but
it's true.
I think he'd get canceled before he could handle the alien.
He does look like a dude who's done some creepy hugs over his life.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, how about the ticket Jeff Goldblum and Lord Humongous? Because what'll happen is Jeff Goldblum will go and he'll try to make friends with the aliens because he would. And they would murder him on TV. And then Lord Humongous could take over.
Yeah, it'd be more like Mars Attacks, where he's just like,
right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, I loved Mars Attacks. That was my
The unfortunate thing for me is I feel like Martin Sheen is getting a little old to be a president, and unfortunately that means that we're going to have to pass that down because we only elect dynasties now. So that means that it has to be either Charlie Sheen or Emilio Estevez, and neither of these seem like good leadership choices.
Wait a second. There is a third.
There is another.
There is another. I don't actually know if that's true.
The Sheen came right off that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So New York man kept sharks in a pool in his basement.
Yeah. So the reason I thought this was so funny is we were talking about the tendency of marine biologists in movies to have local dolphins. And I was like, maybe he was just a marine biologist.
Is the photo in the article an actual picture of the aquarium, or is it just a random aquarium? That's what I want to know.
I think it's the one that he had.
I don't think so, because the New York Department of Environmental Conservation, that's what the credit on the photo is.
Yeah, but look at this scuzz.
Yeah, it does look pretty gross.
And like he's got some sandy through in there as an afterthought.
That's painted. But just... I think they painted a texture on the bottom of the pool.
Hold on, I'm doing a Google search.
Well, the other thing is that he was raising them to sell them.
Oh yeah, that is super popular with fish and reptiles, though.
Ambalu wants to know if he's training them to fight sewer gators, but they couldn't get the lasers to stick on their friggin' heads.
Well, it's really hard, you know. You have to like find.
They'd have to use bull sharks too, because bull sharks can live in fresh water. So,
it is legal to own sharks.
Cool.
Which have become a status symbol for celebrities like Tracy Morgan.
Oh, great. Well, so it's probably kind of in the similar vein as the people who were buying tigers from
exactly.
that lady, or does the lady sell to the sharks?
Carol
or just
Baskin.
the guy?
No. Well, I don't know about the shark people, but Carol Baskin's still spamming me, so she's still all at it for the cats, man.
Right on.
Big Cat Rescue,
Big
Florida.
Cat Rescue. the fine establishment that Chris DeBona paid money to.
Just to go in, I bought a couple of postcards.
Right,
but yeah.
So you only gave them $300 or $400.
No, it wasn't that much to go in.
You don't think you bought a Pepsi? a diet
no, I'm sure I bought a Diet Coke, but it was like $6. You know, it's like $6, and then a postcard was like $2. And you know, it was me and Franny. We were having a great time. You know, and it was like $20 for the tour. You know, because they would.
Helped her fund moving the body of her ex-husband.
Well, no, right. The thing I remember from the tour is they would show you when they were feeding the animals. We were on the tail end of the feeding hour or whatever. And I look back now, I think, I wonder if any of that meat was husband. You know?
Right. It's the sweetest meat.
It was honestly, it was as nice a place to visit as you might imagine. Big Cat Rescue. You know?
When I was a kid,
the enclosures were huge. You know, it was spread over an enormous amount of land. There's lots of water and sun and shade. I mean, they could have had a worse life. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't get to position yourself in that field without having proper enclosures and care of your animals.
Yeah, there's
regardless of her ultimate goal.
Right.
Well, I think her ultimate goal was protecting the animals, and
she's just very opportunistic in how she achieved it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you can both be a remarkable animal caretaker and murder your husband. You know, I think that these are on orthogonal axes.
All right, that's fair.
Right? If you have an abusive husband guy and you also have a lot of big cats, you know, these problems.
So hot take from Chris DeBona from the very beginning of the quarantine. Chris DeBona, pro Carol Baskin.
I am pro Carol Baskin. It's true. I have a lot of sympathy for her, and honestly, she takes good care of them cats, man.
The episode of that I put Carol Baskin in the title is still the one with the most listens on our SoundCloud account.
Carol Baskin may have killed her husband, but she took care of those cats.
Took care of big cats.
You know, and it was a nice visit. It was a really nice visit. This is 2011, 2012, something like that. And it was just like, I remember her. I remember she was like, have you considered helping us purchase more fencing along the edge of our property?
Just put this
it's a
money
little
in this donation plate.
Well, it's a little expensive because, you know, it has to hold cats back. So it's to be tall, and it's made of these composites so they don't, you know, rot out and stuff. So and they're $400 a 10-foot panel. And I'm like, wow, that's really expensive. I'm afraid I can't really do that, but I'll happily purchase a Diet Coke and some postcards.
So Rob, you shared a story about the saddest birds on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Man, this thing was a tearjerker.
Yeah, so there's so few of those Australian honey eaters left that newborns.
My whole life is dedicated to one thing.
Do I have to listen
newborns
to the Logitech to advertise?
Haven't heard their species like calls for mating, for this is my territory, for any sort of calls. So they just they're losing their language basically.
Okay, are you ready to listen to the Regent honey eater sound?
I like that they animate it.
So you know what noise.
Poor thing.
So there's a guy now who goes to, they have all these captive young honey eaters, and he goes and he plays the call to them to try to teach them their language, which made me think, I wonder if birds like humans, you know, there's that hypothesis that you have a set period of time to learn language in your brain development, or you just can't ever learn it. I wonder if the same is true of birds.
Yeah, what's their brain plasticity like as they reach bird middle age? You know,
I feel like it's a lot like me trying to play old recordings of ancient music. You know, like The Who and the Beatles, and how my children just reject it. Like I only listen to music that is made of beeps.
Makes you think, if you played like Avicii or Skrillex for the birds, would they start, you know, talking to each other using those things? And like, also, you know, I had this picture from the article. I have to admit, I'm moved. They're like, we can't say anything to each other because we don't know how to speak. We don't have the language. Literally. I'm afraid we shall die off. I have beautiful plumage, but no ability to share.
We can't signal that we're ready for mating. We can't, you know, say that this is my boundary.
Right? They've got plumage, so ostensibly they can continue expressing themselves sexually. You know?
As long as they can see each other, you know. But like, go outside right now and go see a bird versus hear one. You know, one is much easier to do.
Well, and also, if you think about it, they can't see each other from very far away. They can hear each other, though, from very far away. So if they know the right call, they know, oh, you know, because they mentioned that this was over like a huge area, that the last 300 birds exist. And I'm like, you know, they're probably like finding any yellow bird to mate with. Ooh. And it's like, you know, it's kind of sad, you know.
There's a chicken out there like, no, running away.
Oh, the chickens are not so smart. But, you know, it's... Yeah. I heard that Rhode Island Reds are stupid chickens, and they're smarter chickens.
All right. So I'm not a chess guy. Like, I like chess. I'm interested in it, but like, I don't know a lot about it. But there's a story in there. Did you see the Double Bongcloud? This story?
No, you posted this, and I haven't had time to read it.
So the story is actually fascinating. The Double Bongcloud is the stupidest move in chess, and it's basically you move the pawn forward one, and then you move your king forward one, and put the king into the hole left by the pawn.
What?
It's a stupid move.
Why would you do this?
Because it's funny. And so it's become a thing now. A dude wrote a book about like how to play from this starting position, and it's like a Wilhelm scream for chess players. It's like a joke inserted into but now they're actually doing it like as a thing now. It's a really weird story, and it's just really fun to see how everything has a culture, everything has running gags. If you just look hard enough, it's a cool story.
And I imagine it makes it much more challenging and probably more fun that way.
Yeah.
Is this so charitably? This is Magnus Carlsen playing Tsukaro Nakamura saying, "I'm going to make this hard." It's like, I'm going to play this tennis game with one arm behind my back. I'm going to,
Kinda, but maybe it's more like, let's just have some fun with this. Like, we're not going to play the standard moves,
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's fun. And I like the cultural implications of that. I like thinking about how every thing has these little things in it.
It reminded me of back in the day playing the old school D&D video games and running a party with nothing but bards.
Yeah.
Because, you're like, oh, this is the most useless class in this. I will make an entire party of them and see how far I can get.
Yeah. No, I like, this is a great story. Can I tell you? Thank you for
worth your read. The NFTs, the art NFTs, have been all over the place lately since Beeple. His collection sold for like 70 million, and now Grumpy Cat for 80 grand.
Let's be clear. An NFT is not the actual picture or rights to the picture. It is simply a reference to a picture.
It's weird.
It's a GUID, right? It's basically a GUID to a reference online or offline. So there you go. And Grumpy Cat's a Grumpy Cat NFT, of which there can be infinite numbers, sold for $80,000.
Yep. It's a cool one.
So it's not the Mona Lisa of NFTs, which was sold by Dylan Field for $8 million, or the outrageous $69 million that was sold via Christie's art house of the Beeple. But
I read a good breakdown of Beeple. I've been following Beeple for years, and I read a good breakdown.
Talented artist.
Kinda. I mean, he does a lot of really neat stuff, but they broke down like different eras of his work, and it's pretty funny to see. He was not that good when he started. He was kind of gross when he started, and over time became much, much, much more skilled. But also they were saying how a lot of his work isn't going to age particularly well. It's interesting. So there's another one on there. Why Channel 37 doesn't exist.
Wait, I just want to share. He's still quite the handsome cat.
What's his real name?
I don't remember. He actually died, I think, last year.
Oh, really? Cat talks about him fairly frequently. Can't remember his real name though.
He's a sweet little kitty.
He's a good cat. All right, Chris. Here's my trivia question for you. Do you know why Channel 37 doesn't exist?
I only got one paragraph into it. I assume it's because it's within the hydrogen noise floor of some thing, or it conflicts with a military channel.
It is because that's a good frequency for radio astronomy. And over several decades, they managed to keep those frequencies free so that they could use it for radio astronomy. It has to do with the curvature of the dish and the size and accuracy that you could build a dish using 1950s technology. That's an interesting story, and I did not know it. And it also ends really sadly because that frequency is ultimately gobbled up in the last 20 years in the analog digital transition. That frequency has been gobbled up by commercial interests, as all things do.
Without it, radio astronomers would lose a key window to an otherwise continuous radio view of the sky. Imagine a 3-panel bay window with the middle pane painted black. Who wants that?
So I guess they use 3 different frequencies commonly, and this is the middle of the 3, and that's a neat story too.
That's really fascinating. So I remember when we were trying to pry open what was called the white spaces between UHF channels, and we were having a hell of a time because the TV stations were like, if there's extra spectrum, it's ours. And it's like, but you didn't pay for it, And so there was all this discussion and FCC back and forth. We wrote a simulator for wave propagation over the Earth's terrain. It was just like, it was like pulling teeth because the established TV stations like Sinclair and the rest, they were just like not having it. And so that's why bandwidth for our fine Wi-Fi has to go over 2400 and 5000 kilohertz bands.
Yay!
5 gigahertz bands, because TV stations wanted to keep on pumping crap over, the 108 through 20 channels.
It's interesting because in a lot of ways, I mean, the wireless spectrum or the signal spectrum is very similar to a lot of environmental issues, pumping coal into your air, we need coal to make our electricity, so black lung and carbon monoxide or whatever. It's a lot, in a lot of ways it's very similar to that. It's a public resource that some people monetize, but also scientists need. It's complicated is what it is.
Well, you know why we need 10 times the stations for 5G support in the United States versus Europe and the rest of the world,
I
right?
assume that it has to do with the fact that we're number one at infecting our elderly with COVID.
Yes, that's it. No, the reason is because the 5G spectrum everywhere else in the world is the same spectrum that we use for a military transmission band. And instead of saying, well, how likely is it that our military will be able to use that band if we went to war with somebody who didn't give a crap? We said, let's instead increase the cost of wireless networking by 10 times. And I'm not talking about a little bit of money here, right? It's going to cost something like $500 billion to deploy the 4G level of coverage. So it will never happen in the United States.
Well, it'll happen in y'all who live in big cities. It just won't happen for us who live out in the pucks.
Yep. If you're even slightly in the sticks, you're going to have 4G forever, which is fine. Okay. It's actually pretty good. So
I got no objections to it, but all right. The last one that I had on the list was...
it's offensive when they say something's 5G in the United States. It's not really.
Dude, what makes me angry is I get my phone has like an icon for like 5G plus or something, which is not, it's just like 4G,
lies.
but with a different frequency. All right. So do either of you have family members with a Cricket machine?
I've looked longingly at the Cricket machine.
Oh, okay.
I admit I have not purchased one yet. It's, especially with the move and venting being what it is in this house, I need to fix that before I go and create more fumes.
Well, they got into shenanigans now. They want people to now start paying a monthly subscription fee to continue to use their Cricket machine that they already own. A story that we have seen other times in the past with other technologies. And the question then now is because this particular audience is a not particularly technically savvy audience, and also probably less likely to organize and shake their fists in the same way that you might be if the same thing happened to a piece of technology that, like in the tech industry, this sort of thing happens every now and again.
Well, let's make sure that we're portraying this correctly. What it seems to be saying is not that you have to have a monthly service to cut. It's to upload your images and patterns. Can you cut without uploading?
My understanding is you're losing functionality that you have historically had.
Sure. Yes, I agree. But it's not like they're shutting the thing off unless you pay, right?
They're just shutting off the parts of the service that you bought that you had before.
Yep.
So they're only taking away part of it.
So you can still turn right. And eventually, if you turn right enough, it's like turning left.
Right. It's like turning left, yeah. So.
Yep. It's just that I was interested in this one primarily because of the discussion about how the demographics for this particular product are different than similar stories than we've seen in this past. But as we've encountered stories like this historically, it's been with techie people, like even maybe going back to the Q Cat or something, like having a thing and then getting it locked down on you. Although that was a free thing that you found essentially. And this is an actual thing that you paid for. And I have family members who own Crickets and use them and mail me cards who are definitely not watching this because they would never watch this.
How would I have done this so that it was... So I would have capped features and, later versions of their Design Space software. It's like, okay, that's Premiere stuff, but this is not. So people are sort of grandfathered in for what they have, so they don't feel ripped off. But
well,
yeah.
that's the thing, and I have that with a number of things. Like I have apps on my phone that are like, I paid for this app. I paid $5 for this app, and then
$5,
whatever,
Mr. Moneybags.
Right. I'm thinking of one app in particular that I won't name, but I have one app that I paid like $5 for like 3 years ago. I used it for years, and like 6 months ago, they changed to like a $2 a month subscription, and just out of principle, I deleted the app. Because I'm just like, you don't get to change the rules on me. Like, if you want me to, if you want to give me a new feature, sure. But they took away the features I paid for. I don't think that's right. But I mean, this is a story as old as time. But I just thought it was interesting to think about the different demographics on this one.
It is interesting. I agree. It is interesting.
All right.
I affirm you.
There you go. My only other last note, I don't think we have any more stories on the list, but we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier to watch soon.
I'm really looking forward to that. So I admit, even though I was a little like, because, Anthony Mackie is not so impressive.
The last trailer they released made me think, well, maybe I could watch these two banter about stuff. Maybe this will be all right.
I liked...
I don't know. I have to admit, Bucky Barnes looks like he's grunting through it, and Anthony Mackie looks like he's trying to be all quippy and pull him along. Come on, let's have a good time on the screen for the people. But it could work.
But
that's
the character. Bucky lost his arm. He's not happy. He's had a rough go of it. Being reprogrammed and used as a sleeper agent.
Yeah. He's been mentally conditioned for years and
right.
stuff. Yeah, he's the Manchurian Candidate. The dude isn't skipping around, singing happy songs and stuff.
I mean, he would love to have been the next Captain America, but he knows full well that there's a totally real possibility that Hydra's got some other code phrase baked in there, and so the next time somebody tells him cerulean oatmeal blue, he's gonna have to, hop up and go murder Wanda.
Or like act like a duck. No, I thought it was funny in the trailer where he punched somebody. It's like, damn, that hurt. He's like, why didn't you hit him with your metal arm? He's like, I'm right-handed.
The comment that I read is that this is just the reboot of Lethal Weapon. The buddy comedy thing is just...
But without the anti-Semitism, huh? How about that?
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, it could be in there. There's 6 episodes, right? I mean, maybe they saved that.
Save that for episode 5.
I kind of doubt it, given the Hydra connections to Bucky Barnes' character. I kind of doubt that they would go that way.
That's true.
All right.
The other thing is, so apparently Wesley Snipes was potentially going to take the role of Geordie LaForge. Did we talk about this in our last broadcast? Well, then I'm sorry for bringing that up. Be gone with you.
Yeah. So let's get out of here and go about our days.
Sounds good.
Fairly well, Chris Bona.
Goodbye.
And you, Rob Roseboom.
Later.
I'm Rob Commander Taco Maldo. This has been episode 592 of Geeks and Space. We'll see you next Tuesday.